I'd like to win some more gold medals in the Olympics.
Yeah, you would like to win some more gold medals in the Olympics? How many gold medals have you won?
Oh my goodness. Uh, Lots.
Really?
Well, I've been competing for quite a while, so but I usually win a medal in every race I race. It isn't always a gold. I've got more gold medals than I have silver medals, and I've got more silver medals than I have bronze medals. They give three different medals.
And what event is this for?
Oh my goodness. I did the 50 meters, 100 meters, 200, 400, 800, 1500 meters, the mile. I did the marathon. Then I do the discus, shot put, javelin, hammer throw, heavy ultra weight throw. These are all kinds of different events. And I don't probably want this on the recording because it'll sound like I'm bragging, but they gave me a special award because they said that nobody that they can recall has ever competed in all these different events. Usually, a guy my age only picks out one or two events and does it really well and specializes in that. But I do them all. And fortunately, I'm able to win gold medals in all of them. So they gave
Wow.
me a special medal that they don't normally give, which is a medal for the actual pentathlon itself. So maybe I'll set a little precedence there. And then if other guys start doing what I'm doing, then maybe they can win it. As long as
Wow.
I'm alive, I'm not going to let anybody else beat me.
I love that competitive spirit. I absolutely love that.
Is
So,
that ever cocky or not?
no, I think it's a matter of fact. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. If you
I
had
guess so.
never won and you've competed for years and you've never won a medal, then it might be a little, but it sounds like you've done a lot. You've worked hard. You work out all the time, and it's very rightfully so, right? You've received, but it wasn't given to you.
That's true. That's true. Are
Yeah.
you ever going to come up and visit me?
Oh my goodness, we're not talking.
Don't put that on the recording.
We're recording.
No, is it being recorded?
This is being recorded. We'll have to
Oh,
clip that out.
great. Well, you asked me if there's anything I've never done that I'd like to do, and that's one of the things I'd like to do is have you
Okay.
come up and visit me. We can
Yeah,
do a live program right from here,
that would
and
be amazing.
I can set up a studio right here in the community where I live.
Oh yeah.
You'd have your own studio up here.
Wow. So do people that you live in your community, are they fascinated by you? Do they know the things that you've done, or do they maybe not know so much about you?
Well, it's hard for them not to find out. I didn't have anybody come watch me when I won those gold medals, but they notified Soltis to let them know that you've got a senior in your community that's setting all kinds of new records here in our senior Olympic games here in Sonoma County. And we just wanted you to be aware of it. And Greg, our executive director, calls me into his office and asks me, what all are you doing? We're getting all these emails and calls, and they're telling us that we have somebody that's famous that's living here, and we wanted to find out more about what you've been doing. So I had to finally disclose it to them. And now
Wow.
pretty much people know that I'm very active, I'm very healthy, I'm athletic, all that kind of stuff. But I tried to keep it a secret for as long as I could.
Yeah, I don't think you can keep yourself, you can't be kept a secret. I know you try. I know
I'm
you try.
I'm actually, Leah, kind of the quiet type, kind of the introvert. I don't like to get a lot of attention, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
I guess at my age, if you're accomplishing some extraordinary, unusual things, that attracts attention. And consequently, it's a story. So people ask me, would you come on these podcasts? Would you come on these interviews? Because we want you to encourage and inspire other seniors to do more. A lot of seniors sit around, watch TV all the time, sleep all the time, and they just don't get out and do things.
Yeah.
And as long as God gives me the energy and the strength, I want to be out there competing with guys a lot younger than me. That keeps me young.
That's so great. So, do you think were you always competitive or is it something that you acquired along the way?
That's a good question. It goes back to my childhood. As I talked about my father,
Mhm.
I respected him. I loved him. He was a little hard on me. So to get and he was a great athlete. And for me to get his attention, I felt the best way was for me to become an athlete. So I went out for every sport activity in junior high, high school, and college. And
Wow.
fortunately, since I had my dad's genes, I became a great athlete as well. And that got his attention. So that's why I think that I became competitive and I started competing. And I like to win. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do something, I've always wanted to be the best at whatever I did. So I worked extra hard, applied myself, learned what I could, followed other people's examples. And as I think I said on one of your shows, I met Warren Buffett when I grew up in Omaha. He was an inspiration to me. Zig Ziglar was an inspiration. Earl Nightingale, Norman Vincent Peale. So I had all these mentors,
Right.
and they were all successful long before I became successful. So I tried to associate myself with people that were better than me.
Hmm.
I mean, I never tried to overpower other people. I never tried to impress people with me. So I was kind of in the background and I was looking to other people that were way up above me. So guess what? That pulled me up.
Yeah.
Instead of me trying to pull people down, I was trying to get lifted up by people that were already accomplished. And I hadn't accomplished anything that much yet. But
Mhm.
as I strive to be better and better and better, and I had the help from all these famous, fantastic people, how could I not succeed?
Right.
Anybody that would have been in my place, some people might have been able to even do better than I did. So I have to give credit to everybody else. I'm just the result of what other people have been able to do if they get an able body like me. Intellectually, I followed them. Physically, I followed them. And emotionally and physically and spiritually and every way you can think of, I followed the path that led to success.
Yeah. They say if you want to know where you're going, ask somebody who's coming back.
Beautiful. Ask somebody who's already been there.
That's
Exactly.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was thinking about, we were talking about Napoleon Hill and Think and Go Rich. And I'm curious, you had a relationship with him and actually knew him. I'm curious, what is something that people don't know about Napoleon Hill that we really should know? Because we've listened to so much of him, and I think a lot of us feel like we know him because Think and Go Rich is really one of those timeless books. It's still today it's relevant. So I'm curious if there's something that we don't know about him that you'd like to share about him.
Oh, boy. It's kind of personal, I guess. But he didn't tell me I shouldn't tell anybody or share it with anybody else. He didn't ask me to keep it confidential. But I don't want to say he was shy, but he was sort of on the quiet side. And a lot of authors that write famous books aren't overly talkative, aren't overly extroverts. So when I met with Napoleon Hill, fortunately, I was awed by him. So I asked him an awful lot of questions. And
Right.
that got him talking because he didn't really initiate a lot. I think people should know that one of the things that surprised me about him, I thought he'd be a little more forceful. I thought he'd be a little more forthcoming. And I seemed to captivate most of the conversation rather than him. And here he's this famous person, and here I'm still this young kid, and I'm more or less taking most of the conversation over, but it was by asking questions. It wasn't by me trying to impress him because I was asking him questions because I was like a sponge. I wanted to absorb as much as I could from Napoleon Hill because there aren't very many people that get to sit down with him like I was able to,
Right.
let alone just sit down and talk with him. We had lunch together. We had breakfast together. We had dinners together.
Wow.
We spent time, hours together. And I asked him once, I said, compared to some of the other people that Napoleon, I'm really impressed that you'll allow me to have as much time with you as you do. Because there's other people out there that you could be spending your time with that are a lot more important than I am. And guess what he came back with? This is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah.
He said, well, I maybe shouldn't tell you this, but you're one of the first individuals that I've been able to meet that has asked me so many questions and good quality questions and sincere questions. And then now that I've known you for several years, you've turned those questions into action, acted upon it, and you got this beautiful, wonderful result. So I want to be with you.
Wow.
I like talking with you, and I get a feeling of accomplishment because you're giving me credit for doing things that you claim without my help you probably wouldn't have ever thought of doing.
Wow.
So that made him feel like he was really doing something very, very important for a young kid like me.
That's so beautiful because oftentimes people will hear things, T. Harv Eker says, how do you know if you know something? Because you heard about it, because you read about it, because you talk about it? No, it's because you do it. That's how you know if you know it. And he saw you and you being so young, I could really see how that was so fascinating to him. It was almost like you were just his protege. As it was calling the shots, you were implementing. You took that action, immediate, massive action that we talk about.
You know
So,
what? I wasn't going to share this, but since you kind of mentioned it in a way, this what he said actually brought me to tears, Leah.
wow.
This was after maybe a month or so that I knew him, and we had gotten really well acquainted. We'd gotten really personal in our personal lives. And just out of the blue one day, we're talking and just kind of reminiscing. And he looked over at me, put his hand on my shoulder. He says, you know what? So I want you to look at me. He said, I wish I had a son like you.
Wow.
And, oh my God. It even brings me to tears now, Leah,
Wow.
that the great Napoleon Hill would think of me as maybe he would have liked to have me as one of his sons. I mean, you can't get much more of a compliment from an elder statesman than that, can you?
No, that's amazing. So it sounds like it was really a mutually beneficial relationship.
Oh yeah. You remember what Lou Gehrig said when they interviewed him one time in Yankee Stadium, and he had this Lou Gehrig's disease, and they were honoring him, and as he was talking, he said, being a Yankee and a baseball player, and one of my dreams was fulfilled. I got to be the luckiest man in the world. And I feel like I've become one of the luckiest persons. What young kid? I'm sure there's some out there, but several people have told me that have interviewed me. Norman Vincent Peale once said, Napoleon Hill told me a lot about you before he asked me if I would meet with you. And he said, here's a young lad that probably no other young lad that we maybe know of has been so blessed, has been so fortunate. But you know what? Napoleon Hill gave me credit. He said, you brought this on yourself. You asked for these people to help you. And I think it says in the good book, if I'm not mistaken, ask and ye shall receive. And a lot of young guys like you never asked for help. And you did. And now people are wanting to help you because you'll apply what information they're doing and giving you. And that makes them feel good. You're not just listening to them. Then you walk off and they never hear from you again.
Yeah.
You kept coming back to me. Napoleon Hill told me this. Dr. Bill Bright told me this. I think even Norman Vincent Peale told me this. W. Clement Stone and Zig Ziglar. They said, you always have come back to us after you've applied some of the things that we shared with you, and you came back and thanked us for telling you what you just went out and did. We haven't had anybody else do that before. So that's why I think that God kept giving me all these blessings, because I was blessing people that were blessing me, and it was a collaboration of efforts. It wasn't competition. It wasn't out, I'm trying to go out and do better than you. I'm doing what you taught me to do. And I'm just thankful that I'm able to do it.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And what a really incredible life that you've led, with just knowing all these incredible people. They're icons.
Yes.
They
Yes.
truly are. And to me, they were so wise. And I think with all this technology that we have today, we've got internet and social media and all these things. And I always think back, how did they do this? Now I understand that Napoleon Hill interviewed people and all of that, but to have that presence of mind and to be able to do that at that time,
Yeah.
that's so innovative. I mean, there are people today, now we have all this knowledge at our fingertips, and most people go to a bookstore and they buy a book, and I think 80% of books are never even read.
That's right.
So we have all this knowledge that it's almost so easy. I think sometimes it's almost can be too easy. One of the concepts I always think of and Think and Grow Rich is there's no such thing as something for nothing. Everything has a price. Doing nothing has a price.
Yeah, that's right. It does.
If we sit around all day long eating bonbons and watching TV, well, you know what? There's a price for that. So
there's a saying that goes around, there ain't no free lunch.
that's right.
Could I interject something here now? I just thought
Sure.
of. This is another one of my very close friends.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very controversial person, however.
Okay.
And I want to give him a little honor. He passed away today
Oh,
from prostate cancer.
yeah.
He was only 76 years old.
Yeah.
And this individual, since I'm an athlete, and he was a great athlete, and I want you to know, I want to honor and thank him for also giving me some pearls of wisdom.
Wow.
You want to guess maybe who that might be?
I know who that may be. O.J. Simpson.
Exactly right, Leah.
Mm-hmm.
O.J. Simpson. Now, I said he's controversial, but I liked him. But I love everybody. I don't look at their flaws. I don't look at their sins. I don't judge people. And I think if you just go through life and love everybody, maybe love's too strong a word, but at least like everybody. We're supposed to even love our enemies. And I think I just wanted to mention that because there's a lot of people maybe listening to this video that also knew O.J. Simpson. Now, some of them don't like him because of what he was accused of doing and so on. But hey, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to thank you for letting me interject that. Thank you, O.J. Simpson.
And what were those pearls of wisdom that he shared with you?
Kind of like another famous person, Winston Churchill. O.J. Simpson had some struggles,
Mm.
and he taught me something. He said, John, you're an athlete. You're out there doing all this stuff, and you asked me for advice, and here's some advice I'm going to give you. Never quit.
Yeah.
Never give up. Remember what Winston Churchill said? Never, 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 never give up. He said that word 4 times. So O.J. Simpson, in some of his advice, he had mentioned that to me. He said, you're a never give up type of guy, and you're going to win a lot of gold medals.
Wow.
You're going to win some silver, maybe bronze, but you're also going to win a lot of races because you got that competitive spirit. And I'm glad that you even asked me some of these questions, but O.J. Simpson was an interesting individual, and I have a lot of good memories with him. And I stuck with him through thick and thin. And that's another thing. He said, true friendship is when you never leave somebody that you're really a true friend of.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually thanked me, Leah. He actually thanked me when other people were falling away from him. I didn't. I got criticized, though, for it, but that's okay.
You know, my mentor taught me that loyalty is one of the truest forms of love.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. And I've always been a very loyal person. If someone's my friend, they're my friend until they fire me as being their, you know, I've had a few people fire me. Hey,
I
it
can't
happens.
imagine. I can't imagine somebody wanting to fire you, Leah Garcia.
Oh, it's happened. It's happened, you know. But you know what? I just think that you're right. None of us are perfect. And I know if all of my things that I'm not proud of were plastered on the front page of a newspaper,
Yeah.
it'd be pretty ugly too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know what? We've got to be forgiving. I mean,
Are you
that's
ever going to go skydiving? You want to go with me?
I think I will take a pass on that for sure. However, I do appreciate the invitation.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's very generous of you to extend that offer. Actually, one of my best friends is a skydiver, and he loves skydiving. He talks
Oh,
about it
good.
all the time. He shares the stories. You got to do it. Yeah, I haven't quite got that bug, the skydiving bug.
We'll get some information from him. Tell him what I need to know before I do my first jump.
Well, one of the biggest things he says is that here in the U.S., it's so different than if because he was in the service. He was a Navy SEAL, so
Oh, yes.
he actually could dive in Germany, and it's very, very different there. It's much freer and less constricting, I guess, devices. So he would advise you to go do your jump in Germany. I know that's the first thing for sure he would say. But I will ask him what his words of wisdom are. He absolutely loves it. He says it's the best feeling in the world. From day one, he took to it. He actually won the Iron Mike that you earn in jump school.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
he absolutely loved that. And you know, that kind of reminds me of my next question. Probably we'll wrap this up here, but I don't want to take too much of your time. But you know, so many times now it seems that competition is kind of frowned on, but you've talked about competition with me many, many times, that competitive spirit. And it doesn't mean, in my mind, just because you're competitive doesn't mean that you wish ill on anyone else. It just means that you are being competitive within yourself. Like now, your father's not around, but here you are pushing yourself. And, you know, I talk to you and you have a stringent workout schedule. It's something internal. So I would say, you know, how do we kind of negotiate where this new world they're concerned about competition and the negative ramifications of it, I guess, and really still respecting that need for competition, because I think it's almost inbred in us. Like, we like to compete, whether we want to admit it or not. Sometimes we secretly compete with others, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as we're not, going and deflating their basketballs or untying their shoes. So how do you reconcile that, John? What do you think about that?
Well, I think times are changing. Back in my time, I think competition was actually more important than it is today. Like you just said, a lot of people don't compete as much. They don't think about competing against somebody else. And they may have a distorted idea or vision, and they label some competition with a negative connotation. But if you look at everything from a positive viewpoint, like I like to do, positive mental attitude, that's one of the principles that Napoleon Hill taught me, is a PMA, a positive mental attitude, because you're going to be able to control a positive attitude or a negative attitude. Now, a lot of people feel if you're competing against somebody else, like you said, you have to do something that maybe is a little bit of a destruction or tear down to that other person to compete with them. But I like to compete on an equal basis. When I'm at that starting line of one of my favorite races, the high hurdles, and I never will forget when I set a new record for the high hurdles at the age of 72. When I was at that starting line, I looked over at the guy on my left and I said, "Best wishes, may you have your best race." I looked over to the guy on my right and I said, "Best wishes to you, and may this be your best wish." And guess what? They were kind of shocked, because here were competition, and here I am in between them, thanking them and wishing that they have the best race they've ever had. They didn't say a word. At
Wow.
the end of the race, when I won, they both came up and hugged me and said, "We'll never forget this race. And we hope that this is a record setting race, because you beat both of us. And we're supposed to be the top two hurdlers in the entire universe."
Wow.
But I used visualization. And here I was, thanking my competitors, being nice to them. You know what? That might made them feel a little bit like letting me maybe win. You just never know.
I don't think they let you win, but that's a nice try there. They
Okay.
definitely, when you're a competitor, you just don't acquiesce like that. I don't believe so, but it's good sportsmanship. And I know in this day and age, sometimes they talk about everyone gets a trophy, and yes, it can be disheartening if you don't win the trophy, but maybe you don't win the trophy in that thing.
Very
There's
good.
so many different events. It doesn't have to be a sport event. Maybe they have a different gifting. Maybe their gifting is in speaking and they give speeches or spelling bees, or maybe they're just really gifted in something else. And so I think that if we just put the pressure on the trophy of the
Yeah.
sport, then
Yes.
yes, I can see that. But I think that if we really embrace that our children are gifted, every one of our children are gifted. Jim Quick says, it's not how smart you are, it's how are you smart. Every
Ah,
one of us are very gifted in some area. And if we can just embrace that and understand that, hey, they didn't win the trophy in this particular event, let's find the area that they are gifted. Where is that area where they can, quote unquote, win the trophy? And that's my interpretation of that.
very good. That's a lot better said than what I said.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that tremendously, but I appreciate your time, and I'm so glad that we finally got our technical difficulties out of the way. And I'm excited to really, for future events, that we can really take some deep dives. And I just really believe that your message needs to be shared. You have so much wisdom, so much experience, and so many stories from so many of the people that we all have studied. I say we all, the people I know study all the people that you're talking about. So
Yeah.
I don't know who's in your neck of the woods, but in my neck of the woods, in Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar. I told you the story about me studying Zig Ziglar years and years ago. And just by the training I went by his training, I became the #1 sales girl with beauty supplies. That was back in the day when I was a hairdresser. But appreciate your time so much. And I look forward to many other events. We're going to bring a lot of value to a lot of people.
I think eventually people are going to get tired of me, though, Leah.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it, but we'll see. So that's for this. Was just a quick, just a quick video. And again, just to really highlight and bring some awareness to John Carr and all the work that he's done, not just in your life, but the people that you've given to your foundation. I mean, people really need to know that, they say givers gain, and you've really proven that. And I talk about the 5 F's. You've lived it. I mean, you have strong faith, you have strong family, your strong fitness, even till today. Obviously finances, and you have a lot of fun. I mean, how many people are skydiving at any age?
Yeah, that's right. Well, like Napoleon Hill and many other people that people have read about, I think almost everyone has heard the saying, everybody. It doesn't say some people. It doesn't say privileged people. Everybody has within them greatness.
Yeah.
But it takes action and effort to do it. And I like the Nike slogan, just do it. In fact, one of our interviews that you interviewed me on, I wore the Nike sweatshirt. And I love that slogan, just do it. And if more people, if I could just leave people with just some simple little idea or suggestion of what I think that everybody can do, just try to do more. Do things that you like to do. I mean, if you love to do something, that'll help create that burning desire that Napoleon Hill said you need to accomplish those results. So find out what things that you like or love to do, and maybe focus in those areas, and you'll create a desire. And before you know it, you're out there doing it, and you'll become an expert in those fields. Now, one of the mistakes, I shouldn't say this, but I think one of the mistakes I've made in my life is I've tried to be a jack of all trades. I've tried to do a little bit of everything. And I can't begin to tell you how many people have said, John, if you would just focus on one thing, if you could just concentrate, just think how much better you could be at it. You're trying to do everything. But guess what? I happen to do pretty good at almost everything I've tried to do. I don't have to be the greatest at everything. I'm not going to be a Napoleon Hill. I'm not going to be a Jesse Owens. I'm not going to be an Earl Nightingale. I'm not going to be a Jim Thorpe. I'm not going to be a lot of those famous, wonderful people. But if I can be who I am, and as long as I feel I've given it my best and given it my all, I think that is an accomplishment. And I hope that people are listening. Just do the best you can. Put your best foot forward. Don't be down on yourself. If you're not #1 at everything, hey, we haven't shared some of the areas that I'm not very good at. And you just can't be every good at everything in all kinds of different areas. But anyway, I just thank you. You're thanking me for my time. I'm thanking you for taking your time with me.
It's definitely my honor and pleasure. You bring so much wisdom. It's always a joy to speak with you, John. I appreciate your time, although I prefer to call you Mr.
No, I'm old enough, Leah.
All right, that's it for us. And I'm going to post this on social media, and we will see you soon.
Okay.